Hey there guys, what's going on? Gale here. Welcome back to the YouTube channel once again for a new Danmachi video. I didn't want to leave you guys, just like that. Obviously, a few days ago, I came back and explained where I've been and all that. Just if you haven't watched that video, be sure to go check it out. You might be wondering, it's been so long. If you hadn't seen that video, you might be still wondering, it's been so long. Where have you been? So go check out that video. But I didn't want to leave you guys with only that video and then not do anything for another couple of weeks or months even, to be quite honest, because I need to actually check out the schedule and see exactly what's coming up for Danmachi, at least when it comes to the light novels, because I'll probably make videos on those for sure. But more importantly, I want to obviously make videos on the anime, and today's video is all about that. As you've seen by the title, I am a little bit worried about Danmachi Season 6. I have excitements as well in regards to it. I have hopes in regards to it. And I want to discuss that all with you guys today. So, of course, if you guys go on to enjoy this video, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, all that sort of good stuff. And let me know in the comment section down below, what are your thoughts, of course, regarding Danmachi Season 6. Now, just a quick one, before I get into anything in regards to this, I actually need to check out when did they announce it, because it's been so long since the announcement. I feel like, at least I feel like it's been so long since the announcement that I want to say it's been over 6 months now. I want to say that. And that's important because, of course, one of the things that happened last year with Danmachi Season 5, or a year and a half ago now, I feel like it's been, is that Danmachi Season 5 was like the quickest turnaround in terms of announcement to release. And then, of course, we know what happened there, of course, right? Season 5 was plagued with production issues. We had only 15 episodes for what should have probably been at least an 18 to 20 episode season, of course, in my personal opinion. Like, quite literally, I do believe that, with what all was cut in the season, I feel like there should have been at least an extra 2 episodes minimum, maybe even a third extra episode. We missed out on certain things with the familiars coming together, or the familiar heads, I should say, the gods and goddesses coming together to discuss stuff in regards to, of course, the event. I think there was some stuff between Belle and the other familiars that had to be discussed, the gathering of all the familiars. I remember that was one major cut I remember that I was very annoyed with personally, because I felt like that was such a good way to see Belle's influence and his aura basically in Orario effectively, and how everybody is appreciating that now. I feel like that was one thing that felt missing. I think that was one thing as well. I remember them, obviously, the whole thing of going and asking the this one's familiar, Loki familiar as well, for help. That wasn't shown in the anime as well, and a couple of other things. A lot of you guys will probably remember better than I do right now in regards to what was missed out on in Season 5. I feel like a couple of episodes would have helped, but that didn't happen, right? I think it was, again, like I say, with the success of Season 4, the whole thing around the 10th anniversary of the Danmachi light novel, as well as the anime 2 years later, they kind of felt rushed to make Season 5 happen, which I think was a bad decision in my personal opinion. But what can we do? What can we do in regards to that? What's happened has happened. I'm hoping that it doesn't happen with Season 6, and that is my worry first and foremost. But before we get into that, I'll say I am excited at the same time. The fact that it's been 4 months since the announcement. I just checked on YouTube. I literally just pulled out my phone. You guys can't see my phone because it's merging with the green screen. But it's been 4 months since the anime was announced, Season 6 being in production. And I'm so glad that we haven't heard a single thing. I'm so excited and happy that we haven't heard a thing. I'm like, this is good news. It's rare that, when it comes to an anime or anything of that sort, that, oh, you don't hear anything, oh, it's in trouble, development hell, or something along those lines. And while that may still be true, of course, if we don't hear anything for long periods of time, I think if we don't hear a date until, like, say, the end of this year, and let's say they announce it in December or January of 2027, basically, for example, that it's coming out in December 2027, a year later. So a year and a half from now, or 2 years from now, basically, nearly, the anime is coming out. I'd be like, I'm all good with that. Take your time with it, because they've started production clearly. They haven't given us a date, which is a good thing because that means they're taking their time with it. And I'm hoping that when they do announce it, they say that it's going to take a little bit longer because they need time to make this thing happen. Because the drop off from, like, don't get me wrong. Okay, first and foremost, I should say this. Season 5, if you look at it in its own pen, as its own thing, good season. I wouldn't say it's an amazing season. Can't say that with the production issues, the dip in quality here and there, some real highs with, like, say, for example, the Ryu sections and everything, then some real lows, like, for example, the Otaro fight towards the end. Oh my God, that was a miss in some ways, right? If you take it out of its pen and you take it on and you compare it to the other seasons, I'd still say it's probably the third best season we've had. Personally, I'd say it's better than season 2. Season 3, I'd say it is better than season 3 by a smidge, because I feel like season 3 did have some affronting situations happening at times. While I enjoyed how they portrayed the story, I did feel like they kind of let us down in so many ways as well at the same time. On the other hand, if you look at season 4, which just came before it, it's probably the best season of Danmachi that we've ever had. And so to go from season 4 to season 5, come on now, that just doesn't feel right to anybody, right? So I'm kind of glad in that sense, and I'm excited for that fact that we are getting some time invested into this. There's no date, there's no announcements. They've been radio silent for the last 4 or 5 months. Thumbs up on that front. I'm super appreciative of that. In all honesty, I am very appreciative. However, like I said, I am worried at the same time because as I've always said, and I'm gonna harp on about this again in today's video, the lack of Sword Art Rotoria is pretty much damning. And I think at this point, it's no return, right? We have to accept the fact that basically we're not going to be getting Sword Art Rotoria ever again in terms of an anime production. So in my personal opinion, I think, and this is a recommendation, will they take it? Will they even watch this video? I don't know, but I'm just going to put this out there. I think the best decision for them right now, and I'm also basing this off on, like, literally right before this video, I wanted to go and check on Reddit to see what people had to say. It's been 4 months. I had no idea. The only thing I knew was from 1 or 2 people who obviously, mentioned it to me on socials as to, season 6 has been announced. This is what I think and stuff like that. They were asking my thoughts as well. A lot of people on the Reddit, especially from what I saw, I haven't checked the YouTube comments or anything of that sort, but a lot of people on Reddit basically said it's over, whatever, it doesn't matter anyways. And they also felt like ESO wasn't as required anymore. Yes, it completes the series, and in my opinion, that's a very important thing, and I'll explain why in just a moment. I feel like a lot of people were basically like, whatever, it is what it is. It's not a relevant topic anymore. They can still do season 6 as it is. And to that I say, fair enough. You could do it. You could very well do it. They've been doing it for the last 4 seasons, right? Especially when it came to things like, for example, season 5 and episode Freya. We didn't have episode Freya, right? The only way to actually digest episode Freya at the time in a voiced way, with visuals, stuff like that, was Don Nemo. Same thing with season 4, episode, Astray Record and episode Ryu. Same exact point to be made there. The only ways to digest anything visually and with audio when it came to that season or the companion stories for that season, I should say, with season 4 and Ryu, was Dan Mimo. Now we don't have that. So season 6 will be actually the real test of whether people are actually speaking the truth and saying it doesn't matter. Whereas with season 4 and 5, we at least had something to support the seasons themselves, right? We had something to support the seasons and give us a little bit more feedback in that sense. So season 6 will be the real test in that sense. But it's not like it's not been done before, right? People have watched the anime without even going and reading the stuff in Dan Mimo, to be fair. And they've come out enjoying it massively even. So in that sense, it's not unlikely that that is impossible, that people will still enjoy season 6. But to me, I think it's a question of, when you go into a season, right? When you go into watching an anime, in my personal opinion, I feel like you should be able to understand everything obviously you're not supposed to know everything from the get-go, right? You're not supposed to know the ins and outs. You're not supposed to know, like, for example, the ending or the backstory or the secrets or twists that maybe the author might be leaving for us to learn about in future episodes or light novel volumes, basically, right? But you should know of things that have been mentioned, has happened in the past, and they're referring to it. So for example, right, one of the big things that I felt was a struggle, especially in season 5, season 4, and even in what will be in the case of season 6 as well, right? Because right now what we know about season 6 is that it's most likely adapting 19, 20, and 21 of the main series, right? Volumes 19, 20, and 21 of the main series. You need to know the characters that are going to be supporting the major characters, right? And what I mean by that is basically you have your protagonist and Belle. You need to know who the characters that are going to be supporting him or going to be side characters to him in that series. And our vision of a character, in especially when it comes to the main series, is going to be completely different to what Sword or Rotoria has developed. And that is a problem because let's say you're going into season 6, for example, right? Eyes, right? We already know how Eyes has been treated by JC staff in in the previous seasons, right? In some ways, not bad. In other ways, bad. And when I say not bad, I mean that very, very specifically, just not bad. They've not done a good job or great job with her. They've just done a not bad job at best with her. And even that, some people will disagree with me on that one, right? The thing is with Eyes, right, is when you look at Sword or Rotoria, for example, you get a different idea for her. And that is a big problem because if she is going to be our, now, forgive me, I don't know how to pronounce this word exactly, but if it's anything like the way of saying French, of saying do, which is two, the dotragonist, basically, or the secondary protagonist, effectively, is the best way to put it. We don't know much about Eyes, even though she is the secondary protagonist when you look at the anime only. But when you look at the light novels, in terms of Sword or Rotoria and the main light novels, you get a better understanding of Eyes. And that is what the anime is missing. Because at the end of the day, a lot of people complain about Aiza's portrayal in the anime, and I think that's completely fair. For example, in season 5, the fact that they didn't show her rooting was pretty bad, but at the same time, on the other side, some moments have been decent, you know? For example, when she and or Belle tried to get their memories back, right? I think that scene was pretty good with Eyes. But like I said, there's been scenes with Eyes that have been felt lacking, and there's been a lack of oomph when it comes to those. And I think that's down to JC staff for one, in one part of not portraying and adapting those sequences correctly with Eyes for the most part. But the second thing is that you don't have Sword or Rotoria as a companion book or a companion series to help understand Eyes better, and all these other characters that are part of Sword or Rotoria as well. And I think that is a problem. And it's not just the Sword or Rotoria stuff that's a problem either. When you're cutting stuff from an adaptation, it shouldn't be the case that what you're cutting out has to be put on social media by the author, retweeted by the production company and the social media accounts to say like, oh, this is the stuff that we couldn't add into the series, but Omori's explaining it on Twitter. So there you go. That's what happened the last 2 seasons, season 4 and season 5. Every week, once this episode aired, like an hour or two later or the following day, Omori would just put a thread of tweets on what is now known as X, formerly known as Twitter. He put a thread of things there basically saying, this is what happened, and this is this is that, this is da-da-da. And it's like, that shouldn't be the case. You should be giving us a complete series, right? And that is a big problem that I have. And my worry is that you're not going to give us a complete series. However, I do have some hopes. And one of my hopes will hopefully fix this issue. If they don't want to do Sword or Rotoria, that is fine. My hope, my primary hope in this situation, and I'm going to end it on this. Or, well, I'll end it on my hopes, basically. there's a couple of more hopes I have for Danmachi season 6, but my primary hope is adapt both in the same season. Different POVs. Yes, it'll be a little bit difficult for people to understand, especially with the lack of volumes 10, 11, 12. 13, they technically would be able to adapt simultaneously with volume 19, in theory. But volumes 10, 11, 12 not being there will impact volume 13's adaptation potentially. They could do a little bit of flashback sequences potentially if they feel like it, or just go and tell people to watch some of the Danmimo stuff on Twitter, on YouTube. Sorry, if they want to, re-upload that the entire Danmimo adaptation of volumes 10, 11, and 12. But coming back to my point, I think they should just adapt both simultaneously in the sense of you show us different POVs. You have Belle's POV, you have what's happening with Eyes and All's POV, and the Loki Familia, because that is going to play a major factor. We know this from the teaser, right? For you, I will go down to hell. So there is something that's going to be happening with Eyes. We know it's going to be the Eyes arc right now, right? With Amori's interviews that he does, right? So the best thing to do is to adapt both simultaneously. I think that is the best thing they can do, in all honesty. If you don't want to adapt Sword Oratoria, we know Sword Oratoria is heavily intertwined with the main series right now, especially now that we're getting back a focus on Eyes as a heroine for the main series. It makes sense. I think it makes sense. And I think it will do really well. It'll also give us more episodes to look forward to, because they're not going to be able to do this in 12 episodes if they do it the way I am thinking they're going to do it. Or I think they should do it, I should say. I don't know if they're actually going to do it. I don't think they'll do it. And this is a hope, as I said. I think my belief in this happening is at like a good 5%. I don't think it's going to happen. But if they want to do it this way, they have to give us more episodes, right? They have to give us at least 20 to 24 episodes for the entire 3 books. Because the way it's structured, I don't want to spoil anything particularly, but volumes 19 and 20 are basically build-ups towards the grand finale of volume 21. It's a whole arc, right? It's one singular major arc from start to finish. It does initially seem like it's different arcs and stuff, but yeah, I think it would be the best way to go about it. And I think that will be a great way to give us more of a look into characters like Eyes and so on and so forth. These characters that, had we had Sword Oratoria, we would have learned about way more, but we didn't, right? And so I think that that would be one of my hopes that they do, because that would be amazing to see. And like I said, it'll just add more content, give them more time to potentially work on polished future episodes while giving us some slower and steady episodes as we build up to the finale. And on the other side, my other hope is take their time. I'm really hoping they take their time with this season. We don't want any more production issues or anything of that sort again, like we had in season 5. I don't want the inconsistency we saw in season 5, because again, like I said, there were great animated sequences in season 5, and then there weren't. It was very bizarre and very abrupt at times to see the production quality. Like, don't get me wrong, I think the highs in season 5 were probably some of the best we've had in Danmachi, but the lows were also some of the worst we've had in Danmachi. Whereas with season 4, which, yes, may not have hit the highs of season 5 in terms of animation quality, mind you, it was consistent. And I think the most important thing is consistency, I should say. Now, I will say this, it has to be good consistency. It can't be bad consistency, because if it's consistently bad, that is also a problem. But anyways, let me know what you guys think. I'm curious to see what you guys have to say down below in the comments, of course. Like I said, I didn't want this to be like a long, drawn-out thing as well, to be quite honest. It's basically approaching 20 minutes. Damn, spoke for a long time there. But I wanted to talk a little bit about Danmachi Season 6, considering you guys haven't heard my thoughts on it, of course, right? And I wanted to see what you guys have to say as well, of course, in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like I said, I don't know when I'll be back next. I'll have to check the Danmachi schedule and see what's next in terms of the series and stuff like that. I'm hoping it's nothing anytime soon, because I still have to figure out all the logistics and stuff of recording stuff and whatnot. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one, and I'll see you guys next time. Take it easy, everybody. Bye bye.